What's on, ladies and gentlemen? My name's Ross, I like games, and today I've got some new Keyforge cards to talk about. And the good news is, because there's been a bunch of new Keyforge stuff launching over the last few days, that means that we're going to have daily Keyforge videos for a little while now, and I, for one, am delighted. But we're starting off today looking at one of the more exciting things we've seen in Keyforge from Mass Mutation, the 7 Deadly Sins. Now, just yesterday, we did actually have a look at one of the 7 Deadly Sins. We had a look at Pride. And I said I'd like to see some more of these. Well, the good news is we've actually got 4 of them. Apparently, it was said on the live stream yesterday that when you get them, they are special rares. You will get between 4 and 7 of them. And we've got 4 to talk about today. I look forward to the day I can talk about the rest. Now, we're not going to spend a huge amount of time having a look at Pride, because we did have a look at Pride yesterday. Pride is one of the sins. It's a 4-power, 0-armor creature, and when you reap, you ward each friendly sin creature. Remember that ward means that you put a ward counter on the creature, and the next time it would be destroyed, damaged, or otherwise removed from the game, you just remove the ward counter and the creature is fine. I said it was good and that putting ward counters on is awesome, but we really need some other sins to use with them. Well, good news, ladies and gentlemen. Good news. Now, for my money, probably the most exciting of them is Desire. Desire is awesome. Also, right, shout out to Michelle Giorgi here, who seems to have drawn all of the sins, and oh my godness, the artwork is amazing here. So Desire, 3 power, 0 armor, so ever so slightly weaker, and keys cost +4. Oh. Yeah. All keys cost +4 amber. Your keys, your opponent's keys, everybody's keys cost +4 amber. That's kind of ridiculous. Now, on the one hand, increasing the cost of forging a key by 4 is nuts. It's more than something like Lash of Broken Dreams to carry on talking about this, although clearly with something like, well, it's going to be Eddie, isn't it? Clearly something like Eddie can actually increase it quite a bit more. But here's the thing. When you reap, you may forge a key at current cost, reduced by 1 amber for each friendly sin creature. So, in this deck specifically, we're talking about 4 deadly sins. Which means that if you get all 4... They're not actually deadly sins, they're just called sins, but, you know. So, if you've got all 4 of your sins out, keys cost +4 amber for you and for your opponent. But when you reap with Desire, you may forge a key at current cost, reduced by 4. So, actually, you're forging a key just for the cost it should be. Your opponent isn't. So let's say you've got 8 amber and your opponent's got 8 amber. They go to forge, keys cost 10, I can't. You go to forge, keys cost 10, I can't. But then when you reap with Desire, keys cost 6 again, because you got 4 sins out. So now you've got 8 amber, you need 6, you get to forge a key. And here's the thing. It actually gets better than this, because one of the cards we see popping up in a lot of very successful competitive decks is Miasma. Miasma makes your opponent skip their forge a key step. Cool. Your opponent makes you skip your forge a key step. Just go for this. Just play this, you're fine. The other thing is, of course, you could not play Desire if you didn't want to increase the cost of you forging and just play it when it increase the cost of your opponent forging. Because unlike something like Lash of Broken Dreams, this is a permanent skill. It's double-sided, it can backfire, but it works immediately. You play Desire, your opponent's keys cost more amber right away. So you can play it down now, and your opponent had 9 amber they were getting ready to forge. All of a sudden, they cost +4, and your opponent's not forging anymore. And here's the amazing thing, right? Let's say they destroy Desire. It's a weird phrase. You then can forge a key at current cost after having stopped them forging a key. Yeah, that's kind of hilarious. Yes, it increases you forging, but really the more sins the better. Imagine if you get a 7 sin deck with Desire, and assuming there are 7, then you will have Desire. You could be increasing your opponent's keys by 4, but then when you reap, you're actually paying 3 less than you normally would to forge a key, i.e. you increase the cost to 10, then reduce it by 7, and you're forging a key for free. As in free amber, not 0 amber. Desire could be broken. Desire could be the kind of card whereby it actually just hurts you and it hurts your opponent and no one ever really gets an advantage or a disadvantage. It's just kind of annoying for both of you. Or Desire could be the card that turns a 7 Deadly Sin deck into the one we're looking for. And it's early on, but looking at mass mutation decks, I expect a as many sins as possible deck with Desire to be one of, and you'll have to forgive the terrible dad pun here, one of the most desired decks among mass mutation. Because if you can increase your opponent's keys to costing 10 and then reap to forge for free 1, 2, 3 amber, tell me that's not busted. I may have to call you a liar. Now, we've also seen Envy. Envy is again a free power 0 armor creature, so Pride is actually strong for a sin. And it's got Elusive. The first time it would be attacked, nothing happens. You got to break the Elusive and then attack again. But when you reap, if there are 2 or more friendly sin creatures, capture all of your opponent's amber. All of it. Every single amber. Yeah, this is nuts. This is ridiculous. Like, actual ridiculous. We are looking in Keyforge generally for emergency you shall not forge cards. Something like Doorstep to Heaven would be a great example. Doorstep to Heaven says that every player with 6 or more amber goes down to 5. So it doesn't matter how much amber you've got, it takes you away from forging. You will not forge. The thing is here, and it's capturing, right? So you capture, and then you're a free power creature. You've got Elusive, you've got to be attacked twice, but it's still a free power creature. Your opponent's going to destroy it and get their amber back. But the difference is they can't have it back now. They can't have it back until Envy goes away. And clearly what you want to do is find a creature with Taunt, put it next to Envy, so that you actually cannot attack Envy. You've got to attack the creature with Taunt, etc. And then just sit there kind of laughing a little bit because your opponent can't take it down. They can have 57 amber. If you reap with Envy with 2 or more friendly sin creatures, and it doesn't say other, it says 2 or more friendly sin creatures, so it's Envy plus 1 more, then all of a sudden your opponent loses all of their amber. They can get it back. Sure, they can get it back. But you know what? They can't get it back now. And imagine you end up with this in a deck with Praefectus Ludo. Now, I don't know if Praefectus Ludo is in mass mutation. It may or may not be. Even if it's not, there's always a chance of getting it as a legacy card. But imagine you get this with Praefectus Ludo. Praefectus Ludo says each other friendly creature gains destroyed. Move each amber on this creature to the common supply. Which means that you capture all of their amber, and then when they take Envy down, they don't get the amber back. It goes to the common supply. Oh yes, ladies and gentlemen. That is utterly, utterly ridiculous. You can do the same thing with the armor card, Imperial Scutum. It is an upgrade. This creature gains +2 armor and destroyed. Move each amber on this creature to the common supply. And those 2 cards utterly, utterly break Envy. Because now you capture all of your opponent's amber and they can't get it back. The best they can do is put it in the common supply. And remember, Envy is not a when you play, it's a when you reap. So you can do this every turn. That's a little bit nuts. And now, let's quickly have a look at Desire and Envy side by side and tell me you don't want a Sins deck. There we go. There is actually one more. It is Wrath or Wrath, pronounce it how you like. Free power, free armor, which is kind of beefy. It's got Taunt and Poison and Skirmish, which are all nuts. Let's go through those one by one. Taunt says you cannot attack its neighbours. You have to attack it. So clearly something you want to put next to Envy. Poison says if it deals any damage during a fight, the creature is destroyed. You don't have to do enough damage, you just have to do some. And it's got Skirmish, so if you start the fight, not only do you guarantee to KO, you also don't take any damage back. Anyone name another creature that has that? Poison and Skirmish? Macis Asp. Shadows creature from back in Call of the Archons. Boom! Oh yeah. And when you fight, for each friendly sin creature, you enrage an enemy creature. Enraging means you give them a rage counter, and the next time that creature is used, if there's a valid target, it must be used to fight, and then you remove the rage counter. If there isn't, you can use it to reap, use an action, etc., but the rage counter stays on, and then next time, if there's a valid target, they have to fight. It basically guarantees that your opponent doesn't reap. And as a side note, I'm calling it Wrath, not Roth, because I know. Roth just sounds like someone's mispronouncing my name. Wrath here, it's got Taunt, and it's got Poison, and it's got Skirmish, and it's got Free Power, and it enrages enemy creatures. Thematically, could this be any more perfect? I honestly don't think it could. Thematically, this is an amazingly designed card. And I'm sorry, ladies and gentlemen, but actually, I looked at Pride yesterday. And I went, this is pretty good. Warding each of your sins is pretty good. It is the worst one of the four. Desire can utterly break games by stopping your opponent forging and letting you forge cheaply. Envy lets you capture all of your opponent's amber, and there are some broken combos here. And Wrath is one of the most ridiculous creatures we've seen. It does like everything. Free armor and taunt and poison and skirmish and enrages creatures. Come on. Also, right, if anybody gets a deck with 7 sins and Praefectus Ludo / Imperial Scutum, hit me up. I would like to buy that deck from you. Because that sounds broken. I was expecting these sins to be good. But put it this way, right? Back in the Call of the Archon days, one of the most sought after decks was the Horseman decks that we saw back in Sanctum. I think these, on the face of it, look significantly better than the Horseman decks. I just think these are ridiculous. And we've only seen 4 of them. Presumably there are 3 more. And apparently you can get more than 4 in a deck. So imagine you get all 4 of these, plus 3 others who we've got to imagine at this stage are pretty gosh darn good. And of course, the more you've got, the better Desire gets. And the more you've got, the better Wrath gets. Yeah. These are, I've probably said in my thumbnail and description, something like the sins are broken. I stand by that assessment. Looking at these cards, it's just ridiculous. Because bearing in mind, right? And I could sit here and probably talk about these guys for another couple of hours if I'm honest. I have said that Envy captures all of your opponent's amber. All of it. So your opponent wants to take it down. But you put Wrath next to it, so your opponent has got to take down Wrath before they can take down Envy. Oh, yeah, but you see, you've reaped with Pride. It's fun that these are all reap skills. But you've reaped with Pride, so you've actually got a ward counter. So your opponent has to take down Wrath to get rid of the taunt. Then they've got to remove the ward counter. Oh no, but Envy's actually got elusive. So Envy is capturing all of your amber every dis turn. And first you've got to get rid of the taunt. Then you've got to get rid of the ward counter. Then you've got to break the elusive. Then you can actually start taking down Envy. That is ridiculous, ladies and gentlemen. Utterly ridiculous. And there's more of these. There are 3 more sins out there waiting to be discovered. I have checked, even with the 4 decks that were revealed, I don't believe we've seen the other ones. But I'm going to be honest with you, even if the other 3 suck, they'll still make Desire better. They still get ward counters from Pride. They still make Envy more likely to fire, and they still make Wrath better. So even if they're vanilla cards, they're still going to make these decks better. I am just... seriously. Does it sound like I'm excited? I'm excited. Alright, I have gushed enough, and I think gushing is the appropriate word, over these sins, but I'd like to hear from you guys, so let me know in the comment section. Go nuts! Be nice! And then make sure you like this video, subscribe to this channel, follow me on Twitter at the Wossy. That's where we talk Keyforge and a whole bunch of other games. And do please consider checking out patreon.com/PTCGradio, where you can support the channel, get weekly bonus podcasts, all kinds of fun stuff. But by far the most important thing, as always, look after yourselves till next time, would ya? Thank you very much for watching. My name's Ross, and you've been watching Wossy Plays.